Alrighty, everybody. Good morning. Welcome aboard. Currently en route from Denver to Steamboat Springs, about 15 minutes out. I can see the upper left side. Oh, maybe can't right now, but there's some good fall colors out here right now. It's some great fall colors here in Colorado right now at the peak of those. So I'm bringing you along today. Wanted to show you this massive TFR for a large fire that's pretty much right near Steamboat that we're kind of navigating around. I'll put a photo of it over here on the screen for you. It's 22 nautical miles wide, which is pretty big. Most of them are usually about 3 to 4 miles in diameter. This one's quite a bit bigger. I flew up yesterday. The smoke was pretty bad. Looks like the smoke is not terrible today. It's just kind of sitting in the valley. But I also want to bring you along to show you the short field landing at Steamboat Springs. It's not terribly long of a runway, so I like to treat it a little bit like a short field compared to some of the larger airports you fly in and out of. Well, so while I got a few minutes here before we start to descend, currently at 12,500 feet. I'll be descending down to 11.5 here shortly. I want to go over the profile for the short field landing here graphically. So this is the Cirrus aircraft IFOM. So we don't have obstacles at the end of our runway today, but we do have a decently short runway, like I said. See, the runway length is, let's take a look here. It's 4,400 feet long. It's not, super short for a Cirrus, but it's still, the end of the runway comes up a little quickly if you're not on top of your game there. So the profile is as follows. So, this is an SR22TN, so at the bottom there of that box with the final in it, you can see that it's based off 100% flaps, and the airspeed indicated will be 77 knots. So even though we're at a higher altitude for our elevation, higher altitude airport, we're still flying the same indicated airspeeds. So we're flying 77 knots, which is about 3 knots slower than what I like to fly standard at 80 knots on the final. Okay. So then as we clear the obstacle, or in this case get on a short final here, we're going to reduce the power, and we're going to lower the pitch ever so slightly and maintain the airspeed. So that goes back to your basics of pitch for your airspeed, power for your altitude. Those in conjunction will help you get a little descent going without increasing your airspeed. So you can also see we have an aiming point that's well ahead of the runway, and that still applies here at Steamboat. So you'll see when we get a little bit closer, there's a little bit of a cliff just off the end of the runway. That's usually my aiming point. It's just a little ahead of the runway, so that by the time we get over the runway in the flare, that we can put the airplane down right at the numbers. So next stage here is the round out in the flare. So once we get close to the end of the runway, we're going to reduce the power to idle, and we're going to establish that pitch attitude about 5 to 7 degrees nose up for the flare. And what that's going to be doing there is that by the time we get the power out in the flare, we're going to minimize the time of floating over the runway so that we can get on the ground as soon as we can. Okay, and the next phase here is the rollout flight controls. We're going to apply aerodynamic braking, so essentially what we're doing is pull on the elevators all the way back to help apply some drag. And then any sort of crosswind correction that we'll need with the ailerons. Pretty calm day, so I don't think we need any. And then brakes as required. So normally for private pilot, we like to say simulated max braking. Today, I will show you and talk through as I'm doing it. Applying a little heavier than usual braking to make the second taxiway and be able to stop pretty quickly there. So that's the profile here. So here's the overall thing. So we're going to go 77 knots, coming down at a normal pitch angle, maybe a little steeper than usual. Once we clear that obstacle, we're going to reduce that power and drop the nose and start getting down towards our aiming point. Then at the aiming point, we're going to round out and flare right over the runway. We'll touch down shortly after the threshold. There's a little displaced threshold here, so we have to adjust for that as well. And then roll out, we'll hit the brakes as soon as we touch down, nice and gently. Alrighty. So you can see on our left wing here, you can see all that smoke just sitting in the valley there. That's just been hanging around for a few days. This TFR is pretty new, so this fire must have popped up relatively recently. There's a lot of firefighting operations at Steamboat right now. There's a lot of NOTAMs. About the or I'm sorry, yeah, the southeast side of the airport is pretty much closed off for firefighting operations. They have about 2 Chinooks and a couple air crane, air tanker helicopters there doing some work, so we'll watch out for rotor wash too if they're operating as well. Normally, I'll throw up the picture again of the TFR there. So normally come through pretty much where the TFR is. On the north side there's I-40, there's a little gap I like to shoot down the valley, and that'll drop you into Yamba Valley, and then you can turn northbound into Steamboat. But that's blocked off from today, so you can see I'm going north of the TFR to that GPS intersection. I think it's pronounced YRAG. And then coming in basically straight over top of the airport. So what I'll do is I'll come directly over the airport and I'll descend out to the west, kind of do a shuttle descent down to pattern altitude of 7,900, and then I'll join that left traffic for 3-2 if that's what the winds are calling for, which I assume they are. Because when the winds are calm, we use runway 32 at Steamboat. So that's my descent profile there. That's the plan. Always having a plan for these mountain airports is good, because if you get in trouble, you don't have to be flustered trying to get out of it, and you'll be able to have better situational awareness if you have a plan for ahead of time for escapes. Alright, so I'm free of the TFR here. I can go direct to Steamboat. That'll also get me through this nice low point here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to my flight plan, drop my box down Steamboat, and I'm going to direct Delta. I'm already in nav mode, so it's going to take me straight there. And then we'll be back to traffic area.
Zulu, weather, wind, calm, visibility 10, clear, low 12,000, temperature 10 Celsius, dew point 5, altimeter 3020.
All pilots, please be aware there is extensive firefighting operations being conducted at the airport, including 2 Chinook helicopters operating from the Papa taxiway at Alpha. Alpha taxiway is closed.
Alright, so you're there. A lot of operations going on. Alright, so terrain-wise, looks like we're clear. If we started to descend now, we're 9 miles out. Got to drop good 5,000 feet or so. So I'm going to select my altitude, 7,900. That's pattern altitude. I'm going to go ahead and hit my vertical speed, about 800 to 1,000 feet a minute. Gets down nicely. I'm going to pull the power back a little bit so we don't rip down the hill too fast, or faster than we need to. So Steamboat traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu is 8 miles east, 12,300 descending. We'll be descending down west of the airport for Steamboat traffic. Then I'll do our descent checklist here. So oxygen, don't need it. Power is set. Altimeter is set on both of them. Cabin heat as required. Landing light coming on. Fuel system. We just switched a couple minutes ago, so we'll keep it there for the landing. Mixture is still leaned out for the descent. Brake pressure feels good. No rapid descent before landing. Seatbelts are good. Fuel pumps on low boost. Mixture will advance as we get closer, and then flaps and autopilot to go. Descent complete. Alright, I'm going to take us off autopilot here and hand fly the rest of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off to the left here a little bit. And then I'm going to do my circling descent all the way down, just join the traffic, so that'll be a nice smooth, continuous turn and descent all the way down into 7,900. Because I'm also using this little blue arc here on the MFD, and what that's showing is wherever I bug this altitude, wherever I bug the altitude, it will project where we will hit that altitude if you're climbing or descending, which is kind of a neat little feature to help plug in your climbs and descents for clearing terrain and whatnot. Steamboat traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu is 9,800 directly over the airport, so we'll be setting out to the west to join traffic for 32 Steamboat. I'm going to start advancing the mixture forward a little bit, to the X or so. The turbos will talk to you if they need more or less fuel. They'll start to maybe stumble a little, not stumble, but they might just vibrate a little more than usual, running a little more rough. So usually I just adjust the mixture, see what the engine is telling me what it needs. So So 1,000 to go, I'm going to start my right hand turn and join that traffic pattern. Doing 130 knots indicated, need to get down to 119 as our next number for our flaps. Keeping an eye out for Cow Mountain here. A little steep on that descent, I'm just going to ease the nose up to arrest that descent. And that'll help my speed come off too. Steamboat traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu joining left 45 for runway 32 Steamboat. Alrighty, go on the 45, right above pattern altitude, should be there right in just a second. I'll leveling off there, speed's down below 119 so I can have my flaps when I need them. I'm just doing a gentle right hand turn into the downwind here. Because winds are a little stronger today aloft. Alright. Pattern altitude 105 knots, looks good. Yeah, there's a beam my touchdown point, so I'm going to reduce that power about 25% or so. Ease that descent in there, and then flaps come to 50. Trim it out.
Altitude.
Thank you, buddy. Alright, turn base here in just a second. Steamboat traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu, left base 32 Steamboat. Alright, a tad slow, so I'm going to add a little power. Because I'm also a little low too. Alright, 92 knots around the corner, that's perfectly where we need to be. Go wings level here for just a quick second, drop the rest of our flaps in. Trim you out again, approach ends clear. But traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu, final 32's full stop.
500.
Alright, 500 call on the base, looking good. Now my aiming point is the end of that cliff there, if you can see that on the camera. Try to draw an X on it when I'm editing. So that's my aiming point, that's where I'm looking, is that face of the cliff at the end of the runway. And I got rid of a red, which is fine here because it's a very steep angle if you come in on whatever red. So I'm coming just a little bit lower. Still looking at my aiming point, just a couple knots fast, so I'm going to pull the power back a little bit. There we go, 78 knots. Alright, over the threshold of the runway, I'm going to pull the power out. Float for just an extra second here. And wheels on the numbers. Alright, elevators full back and hit the brakes. Flaps verified coming up. It only is 2,000 feet of runway to stop, probably less than that. Steamboat traffic, Cirrus 88 Whiskey Zulu is clearing the active on Bravo going to parking Steamboat. Laying light off, make sure the X. Alrighty guys, so that's how you do a short field landing in a Cirrus in the Steamboat. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next video. Take care.